fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time to brawl, and it's also time for us to talk about Jessie. She is getting a fancy new gadget that we're going to cover right off the bat, and then we'll talk about her other abilities, cover her best build, then we'll rank her skins and pins from worst to best. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe because we are only about halfway done with all of the 10 brawlers that Supercell has announced we're going to get second gadgets for, and there's a really good chance that after that happens, they'll probably just announce that the other brawlers are going to get second gadgets as well. Let's jump right in. Jessie's newest gadget is Recoil Spring, which she can use 3 times per match. When Jessie uses this ability, her turret's attack speed is doubled for 5 seconds. It basically turns into a machine gun, and you are not going to want to get caught within range of it because that's an increase of almost 7,000 damage in 5 seconds to being 14,000 total damage. No brawler is going to be able to survive 5 seconds of heavy fire like that. Now, I know that you're thinking that nobody's going to stay within range of Scrappy for 5 seconds anyway, and I don't think that it's going to matter a whole lot because Scrappy's going to be able to deal 2,800 damage per second with this gadget turned on. So all it takes is 2 seconds to take out more than half of the brawlers in the game. But what's probably going to be most impactful is how this is going to shape Jessie's viability against stationary targets like in Siege or Heist, or possibly even Robo Rumble or Boss Fight. This ability alone improves Jessie's time in the boss test by 10 seconds, which shows how strong it can be in the right situation. And one thing that's really cool about this ability is that it's going to help Jessie quickly recharge her super again to throw down another Scrappy as soon as they take out the first one. This means that even if you throw Scrappy right onto an enemy so it's more likely to hit its shots, even if the enemy brawler takes it out quickly, Jessie will be much closer to having another Scrappy available, and there's a good chance that the enemy brawler is going to be dead or close to it because of how much damage her super can do when paired up with this gadget. Now, obviously, you have to be careful about when you use this gadget because enemies who are too far are just going to be able to dodge the shots no matter how fast Scrappy is firing at them. And if enemy brawlers do want to get close to the turret, like for example, if they don't have the range to deal with it from a distance, they can simply just stand behind a wall or keep their distance for those 5 seconds until the turret stops firing so quickly. I'm really excited to see how this gadget changes Jessie's viability, just like I'm excited about today's video sponsor.
KAIROS, code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop.
Code Kairos is the best sponsor because it comes from Brawl Stars. Now let's cover Jessie's original gadget and star powers before we cover her best builds. Jessie's original gadget is Spark Plug, which can be used 3 times per match. When Jessie uses this ability, her turret will send a shockwave around it, which will slow down enemies within a 3 2/3 tile radius of it. This ability is really useful because it prevents enemies from walking fast enough to be able to dodge Scrappy's shots for the next 3 seconds. And this is especially good against brawlers like Bull or Shelly, who are trying to get close enough to Scrappy to take it out. Also, as far as slows go, this 3-second slow is actually more effective than most, and it can also affect targets on the other side of walls. Jessie's first star power is Energized. With this ability, Jessie can repair her turret for 800 health by attacking it with her own attack. I see Jessie being played a lot in modes like Heist, where it's better to go with her second star power, but this is actually a very underrated star power. You can use this to keep Jessie's turret alive for a very long time, and what's really cool about this ability is that Jessie's attack isn't entirely wasted on healing the turret, since it will then bounce off of the turret to attack enemy brawlers who are close to it. So while enemies attack Jessie's turret, Scrappy becomes a bit of a tank for Jessie, all while dealing a lot of damage and making enemy movement very predictable. Obviously, this only happens when the enemies are close to Scrappy, but against brawlers up close, this is a very effective strategy because it requires a lot of ammo for enemies to take out Scrappy, who is constantly being healed up by Jessie. And on top of all that, this star power can also be an effective way for Jessie to increase her range or shoot around corners by bouncing her shots off of her turret. And it also works as a way to reveal the direction of the closest enemy, which can sometimes work really well against brawlers hiding in a bush. Jessie's second star power is Shocky. With this star power equipped, her turret fires shots that also bounce off of enemies like her regular attacks do. Although it's easy to dodge these bounce shots for skilled players who are paying attention, this star power makes it incredibly easy to push Jessie, especially in modes like Heist, where the enemies are a lot less likely to be paying attention to be able to dodge these shots. At least this is the case below 700 trophies where players aren't necessarily competitive. And in modes like Heist or Siege where there are stationary targets, Jessie can use this ability to even deal a lot of damage even against skilled players if they're not quick to take her turret out. Now it's time for us to compare Jessie's gadgets and star power so we can then talk about her best build. When it comes to Jessie's gadget, I think that this is actually a really tough call since I haven't had the opportunity to try her second gadget against actual players. Most of the time, I actually have a really good idea of how an ability will do in an actual match, but I'm actually not so sure on this one, so take this with a grain of salt. I know that Spark Plug, her original gadget, is a really awesome gadget because it guarantees damage if enemies get caught with it, and the slow lasts for quite a bit of time. I'm guessing that Jessie's new Recoil Spring gadget is going to be useful in fewer situations against enemies, but when it is useful against enemies, it will get a lot of value because of how much damage can be dealt so quickly. Now, where Recoil Spring is really going to shine though is in modes like Heist or Siege, where Scrappy can easily aim at the safe and deal 14,000 damage in 5 seconds. That is nuts, and it's going to make everyone be super careful about letting a Jessie onto the safe. I think that Spark Plug is overall the better gadget and is probably an A tier gadget, but I think that Recoil Spring is going to be used more often because people like pushing Jessie in Heist, typically below 700 trophies. I think that it's also an A tier gadget, but if I could only pick one of them, I would probably go with her Spark Plug gadget since it's better against brawlers in more modes and in more situations. But I am going to add that big disclaimer that my opinion might change after I get to play it against real players, because Recoil Spring, her newest gadget, might be better just for the fact that it helps Jessie easily recharge her turret if used correctly. When it comes to Jessie's star powers, I think it comes down to two things. First of all, how high are you in trophies and which mode are you playing Jessie in? If you're playing Jessie in Heist or a mode where brawlers tend to bunch up, Jessie's Shocky star power can be the better option, especially if you're below 700 trophies, where players don't typically play around this star power very well. This star power makes Jessie much easier to play when it's not a competitive meta. But if you are going to be playing Jessie in higher trophies, or you're not playing a mode where targets bunch up, her Energized star power is more versatile and will have a bigger impact on your gameplay, so I would definitely recommend going with it. In a competitive meta, I think that Shocky is a B tier star power because competitive players rarely struggle against it, except for maybe every now and then in Heist. And Energized would be considered an A tier star power. Now, if I could only pick one of the two star powers, it would probably depend on how high my Jessie is in trophies. If I don't plan on pushing her competitive, I would go with her Shocky star power. But if I was planning on pushing her against more skilled players above 700 trophies, I think that Energized is more of the way to go. Now, for Jessie's overall best build, how these gadgets and star powers work together, I think your decision is going to depend on a few different things. The first combination to consider is her Spark Plug gadget and her Energized star power. This could be good at keeping her turret alive after it was thrown to stun a close by enemy. Jessie's shots would heal the turret and bounce off of it to deal more damage to enemy brawlers. Against most brawlers, this basically guarantees that Jessie would win in a 1v1 situation. Next is Jessie's Spark Plug gadget with her Shocky star power. Brawlers would get slowed, and then the turret attacks would actually bounce off them toward other targets, and I think this is super strong in a team fight where multiple enemies are clumped up, and Jessie's turret could help deal with all of them. The third option is Jessie's newest gadget, Recoil Spring, with her Energized star power. I don't really see a great situation where you would want to play this unless like you knew you were playing against an enemy brawler who's really slow, like 8-bit, and you wanted to keep that turret alive even when it's close to that enemy target so that it can then rapid fire on them. Because most brawlers are going to be able to just get away and dodge the shots either way. But the last combo is her Recoil Spring gadget, the newest one, and her Shocky star power, her second star power. I think this is going to be the best combination to use in Heist, where slowing down enemy brawlers isn't so important because the turret can shoot at the safe and guarantee 14,000 damage on the safe if people don't ignore it, all while also bouncing shots off of it onto the enemy brawlers and taking them down too. You wouldn't have to worry too much about losing the enemy turret to some enemy fire because this combo should help easily recharge Jessie's turret anyway. I think that if you're looking for easy wins with Jessie below 700 trophies, Jessie's second gadget and second star power in Heist is a great way to push her. And because most players are not competitive players, I'm going to choose that as the best build for Jessie. Now let's talk about Jessie's pins and skins and rank them from worst to best. For starters, I think Jessie's base model needs some improvements. The colors are kind of dull in comparison to the other base models, and it was changed a long time ago. It's one of the first ones to kind of get a revamp in the first place, and since then I think that brawlers have become a lot more colorful. Also, I think it's a little bit strange that Pam and Nani have a matching trinket while Scrappy's dog tag looks like that's what the first version of it was supposed to be, and it's a little outdated, I think. I'm fairly certain that we'll be getting some tweaks to Jessie's model in the future. When it comes to Jessie's worst skin, I know I'm gonna get a little hate for this because it is an awesome skin, but let's be honest, Jessie has some really cool skins, and I think my least favorite skin is Red Dragon Jessie. Yes, Supercell gave it to us for free in celebration of the game releasing in China. That is awesome. I love the colors for this skin, and the Chinese style dragon turret looks really, really awesome. I just like Jessie's other skins more, especially because this skin is so common right now. It's very rare to see a regular Jessie now. You just see her in this yellow and red. The next skin I would have to go with is her summer Jessie skin. I love this skin a lot. I love that it's summer theme, and I think that the water effects for her projectiles look so cool. But Jessie has some other cool skins, and also it's kind of weird how her squirt gun somehow merges into her face if you pay close attention to it. Next, I've got to go with her Tanuki Jessie skin. I also think this one is super cute, especially with the wagging tail. I think it's so awesome. I love the references to Japanese raccoon dogs, or whatever you call it, a Tanuki. And it's kind of weird that she does shoot giant acorns, but I love it all the same, right? It was a really tough decision for me to choose between Jessie's last two skins, but I think my second favorite is Dragon Knight Jessie. This skin is so awesome. Jessie looks cool, Scrappy becomes a really cool looking dragon that breathes fire, and the projectiles for both of them look awesome. This is one of my favorite skins. It has a very special place in my heart, and I think that Shadow Knight Jessie is only slightly cooler. Plus, Shadow Knight Jessie is essentially free. You don't have to buy it for money because it can be purchased with star points. Now, this skin provides all the value of Dragon Knight Jessie, but she's gone from being a cute little girl with a sweet personality to a disgruntled lass with a bit of a mean streak in her. Super fun, and I love the personality change with this skin. As for Jessie's pins, she's got some cute ones. Obviously, her base one is my least favorite. Next, I would have to go with her sweat drop pin. Then I like her thumbs up pin where she's holding the wrench. And then I think that her heart pin is super cute and is definitely my favorite. I'd also like to mention that I think it's kind of cool how angry Jessie's angry pin looks. Like, she looks super angry, which is hilarious because Jessie doesn't seem like that angry of a person. So that's awesome. And all that means this is Jessie's best build. For your pin, you got the heart emote. Then you pair that with her Shadow Knight Jessie skin, Jessie's newest Recoil Spring gadget, and then along with her Shocky star power. All of this with the disclaimer that this is what I think would work for most players, and that there are definitely more competitive setups if you're really planning on pushing Jenny above 700 trophies. Let me know if you disagree with me in the comment section below, and let me know what your favorite skin for Jessie is. Make sure you guys subscribe for more of these. Use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. And for now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.